Bob, what are your emotions? What's it like being in uncharted territory because you've won 3 straight Big 12 championships, et cetera, and now you know where you're sitting at 6-5?
What are you asking me?
Well, just the overall feel. I mean, it has to feel strange to you or odd to you to understand that they're talking like this.
It is. You know, for 11 seasons, I said this to Barry earlier, I think all but 3 of them, this is the 3rd one, I think 8 other seasons, we're all in the last game with an opportunity to still play for the Big 12 championship. And so this is different. But there's been a lot of unusual circumstances around this year. I'm not a knee-jerk guy, and I'm not going to overreact to it. In the end, I understand what we've had to deal with the whole year, and to think that, you know, with the strength of schedule, along with all the different players that we've played without, to think it's just going to be the same, it's not very realistic. Again, I'm not ever saying I'm always critical of what we're doing as coaches, and I think sometimes we've handled it better than at other times, but I also understand the handicap we've had to play with. So in the end, there's a long track record of what we've done here and how it's been successful and how, you know, and what our mode of operation and how we've done things. And I'm not one to knee-jerk anything and, you know, about it. So it is different to be in this situation, though.
Well, you take maybe the second half of the Kansas game where, you know, this team played well without Sam and looked like things were moving in the right direction on offense. Is there no disappointment from you that it hasn't progressed more, or you still just say it's because
Sure, not disappointment. I don't like that it hasn't, but again, there's different reasons and different times why. It's like everybody can take their turn at a different time, and so it. You know, it's been a challenge putting consistency together.
Why do you feel like it hasn't? Why it hasn't?
Just think overall inexperience, and for the most part.
Here in the next month, you and all the college coaches around the country are going to talk to underclassmen about leaving or staying. How many people are going to point out what happened to Jermaine and Sam? And
probably a lot. But in the end, I think what will still be interesting is where they still end up going, because I think in the end they're still going to both be fine, and I think the NFL people are going to like the prospects that they are. But we'll see. In the end, too, I think a big factor that's being talked about is the restructuring of the rookie salary caps, but in all likelihood, that'll only be the first part of that draft. You know, the first 10 picks or 15 or wherever they'll draw the line, that this is where it's kind of out of balance with everyone else, not the last 15 of the first round. And they're not – the thing that juniors have to be wary of is they're still only picking the same number of guys. And if more juniors flood the draft, there are going to be more of them sitting on the side or picked lower with the numbers that go into it. And again, all that's going to affect is in the future is going to be those early picks. And a lot of those second, third rounders, it isn't any different. And if you're had a chance to be a second rounder as a senior and you end up getting picked in the 4th and 5th, that's a pretty bad mistake.
It sounds like you're saying that you're worried more about the later guys in the draft.
Exactly. Well, I was just saying if the draft all of a sudden is flooded with juniors, a guy that may have been picked second, now all of a sudden is picked in the second day. That's a big hit.
So maybe it's not so much the Gerald McCoys, but
exactly
the DeMarcos and the.
They're just certain guys that aren't early projected picks.
Coach, I know you don't want to talk about this till the season's over, perhaps, but where does the bowl game for your team figure into the thinking process now?
I'm just trying to win this week, Bob. I haven't gone past that, and I couldn't even tell you. All I'm thinking about is trying to beat Oklahoma State.
Gerald was in here earlier, and he talked about how much you have kind of kept this team upbeat this year. And you always talk about how you like your team's attitude in practice, and how they always keep a positive attitude. But what do you and your coaches do, and how much do you take on of keeping these guys focused?
I think it's just being sensitive to them as young men. They're still working hard. They're still putting forth the effort and investing in the week, getting ready to play, and they're still young kids, you know. And but So it's everything in life doesn't always go your way. In the end, we've had a lot of fortune around here, and this has been a very unusual year the way it's all happened, and you have to work through it. But some things are our fault as coaches, some things their fault as players, and then other things are nobody's fault. The fact that all these guys are out, you can't blame anyone for that, and it's not the kids' fault. So in the end, it's let's deal with it the best we can and keep coming to work and keep enjoying being here, best you can, and kids have done a good job with it.
Bob, late game clock management decisions. Obviously, you're aware of the LSU game. I'm not asking you to be
No,
critical of that at
I
all.
wasn't until someone yesterday, and I said, "What was that about?" And then they showed me, so I didn't even know about it.
What process do you go through, either mentally or actually physically on the field with the team, as far as different late game situations that could happen?
I think it's really through experience. It's trying to remain unemotional about it. Be very, just to increase your awareness of, and not get into. For me, sometimes I've gotten caught through the years getting into correcting a kid, a young guy, or one of our players on something and lost track of something, as opposed to, just to be very aware of the clock and what we're trying to do, and let the offensive guys, if in those situations are calling the plays, and I'm, trying to think through what's the next right thing to do. And you're just trying to increase your awareness, I think, as much as anything, and get rid of the distractions.
You have a scenario for throwing a Hail Mary that doesn't go into the end zone. If there's still time left on the clock, you know what you want to do in that situation?
Well, it depends on where the ball's at.
Well, like at the 5. You throw it and it doesn't make it to the end zone, and there's a couple of seconds left. They're resetting the chains.
We practiced, and again, I'm not talking about Coach Miles and LSU one bit, but we practiced Mayday field goal where we don't have a timeout. We got sacked, clock's ticking down, and we run on the field and kick it while, so when we practice it, we're 6, 5, 4, 3. And the holder knows you got to call for the ball at 2 seconds to get it, or 1 second, just to get it off. So that's the best we can do.
That's probably pretty typical. Like, of course, a lot of teams run that kind of fire drill at the end.
Yeah, we call it Mayday field goal.
Bob, you've never gone through a year like this, but you did go through a year in which the results weren't what you wanted, 05. You personally, do you remember, can you pinpoint how you responded to that, your resolve? Was it different than any other year when you look about what we need to do next year? Or
no, I think it's
anything.
I think our program, and I hope it sounds the right way. I've been very lucky to be at some very good programs, have been built on the right principles, and you don't just change those principles because you get caught in certain situations, whether it be. I think as much as anything, just like 05, I knew it from the beginning, regardless of what we were ranked, we were going to be inexperienced. And you get caught too inexperienced, it's tough to overcome it. I don't care what, to me, talented young guys in college, still the talent needs to be experienced. And before you really start to see, that makes sense, a special player. The Adrian Petersons are rare where they, most of the other guys have to, it takes experience before you start to really see that talent. And I remember 05, I remember going into the year realizing how inexperienced we were. And I knew it was going to be tough.